The laptop fell. Okay, here we go. So let's see. Called pollen. The parts of the flower around the pistil are stamens. Stigma and stamens. So the parts that poke out and have little sticky parts on it, or no, the pollen. In the center of at the bottom of the pistil are tiny egg cells called ovules. But you didn't know that flowers had ovules, but yeah, inside the bottom of the pistil is where all the seeds come from eventually. And this is the stem, and this is called the sepal. The flower is made up of many parts. Excuse me. Before a seed can begin to grow, a grain of pollen from the stamen must land on the stigma at the top of the pistil of a flower like itself. This is called pollination. So when the powder from this flower gets on the powder of this flower, it fertilizes those eggs, just like in moms and dads and fish and birds and everything. It's called pollination. That's how they make more flowers. Pollination happens in different ways. Often, wind blows pollen from flower to flower. See the pollen right there? Blowing from that flower over to that flower. Bees, other insects, and hummingbirds help pollinate too. While they visit flowers for their sweet juice, called nectar, pollen rubs onto their bodies. So when a bee goes into a flower, that powder that was inside the flower gets on the bee's body. See how it's on its little body? Hopefully you can see that. And then same thing with a bird or a hummingbird. They get in there and the pollen gets on their little tummy. See how the pollen's getting on the bird's tummy? Right there. And the pollen then can carry the pollen to another flower where it comes off onto its pistil. So there's the pollen on the bee, and he flies over and well, it's the same thing. Kind of the same thing. Yeah. That's why we need bees and birds. If a pollen grain from a flower lands on the pistil of the same kind of flower, it grows a long tube through the pistil into the ovule. This is the beginning of a seed. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, you learn something every day. Pollen grapes and salmon. It grows a long tube through the pistil into it goes down into the ovule. This is the beginning of a seed. Wow, blow me down. Did not know that. The seed grew inside the flower. The seeds grow inside the flower even as the flower begins to die. As the seed becomes bigger, a fruit or pod grows around them. The fruit or pod protects the seeds, which is like one of your Grandma Gigi's favorite things to do, is collect them seeds when they're at that stage. Because if you do it too soon, they're not, what's the word? You say pollinated, but... Sorry, I guess I'm learning at the same time as you. How about that? Let me see how many minutes we're into. Okay, almost 5. When the fruit or pod ripens, it breaks open. The seeds are ready to become new plants. So it breaks open and the seeds drop out. Just like with peas, the same thing. And sometimes we eat the seeds because they're fruits or vegetables, and sometimes it just makes more flowers. Again, Grandma Gigi's one of her favorite things. Some seeds fall to the ground around the base of the plant where they will grow. So they fall right down to the ground. They go, and they go, down to the ground, and guess what's going to happen? Some pods or fruits open and the seeds pop out. Sometimes when the birds eat berries, they drop the seeds. See how they're flying out? Sometimes they drop to the ground, and sometimes they get carried off by the wind, or the birds eat the stuff and they drop the seeds. Other seeds fall into the streams, ponds, rivers, or ocean before they travel on the water until they stick to dirt along the shore. Oops, I'm sorry, I'm holding it too high. Did you know that a coconut is just a big, big, big seed? That's how palm trees are. The seed floats up on the sand and it gets a foothold and it grows a palm tree. Very cool. The wind scatters seeds. Some seeds have fluff on them that lets them float to the ground like tiny parachutes. Others have wings that spin as they fall. So right now we have these outside. So when you're walking around underneath your trees, look and see if they're dropping seeds. And then dandelions, when you blow on a dandelion, it sends out little tiny seeds. Every single one of these is a seed. Animals help scatter seeds too. They hide acorns and nuts in the ground. Some seeds have hooks that stick to the fur of animals or people's clothes. Later, they drop off onto the ground. So the squirrel, he collects the seeds or the nuts and stuff. And then sometimes they get on our clothes or like in their animal's fur. I hope I wasn't doing that too dark. I should check. I'm going to stop.